Okay, this week we're talking about roots and shoots. And something you find in both roots and shoots are meristems. And meristems are the areas of rapidly dividing, undifferentiated growth. And the primary meristems are apical, which will be at the tips, either at the roots or the stems. And secondary, which are lateral, and that's when a plant increases in girth. And that's going to be found on woody plant material. So when we're looking at plant morphology, basic plant parts include the root, which absorb and anchor the plant. It's also used for storage sometimes. And then the shoot is both the stem and the leaves. And they're supportive and conductive. So water and nutrients move through them. Sometimes they're a storage organ. The leaf is the photosynthetic organ and also sometimes modified. Think of things like thorns. So plant roots are used for anchorage. It's where the water is absorbed, where minerals are absorbed. It's a storage of photosynthates. That's the product of photosynthesis. This is how perennials survive, and it's used as propagative material. So they're negatively phototropic, which means they grow away from the light, and there's no chlorophyll there, and there's no nodes. So that's how you know it's not a stem. There are underground structures that are stems. Think of things like irises, which have rhizomes. Those are stems because they're going to have nodes on them or buds. Potatoes, the eyes are nodes. And just keep in mind that 80% of all plant disorders include soil and root problems. So it's such a huge part of the health of a plant. The apical meristem is found at the root tip. That's where new cells developed. And then it's covered by a root cap that helps protect it from damage as it passes through soil. So secondary roots are a branch root of another root. Root hairs are hair-like projections. They increase the surface area of the root. They allow more water and mineral intake. They're located directly behind the meristem. And these are the roots that are associated with mycorrhizal fungi. And we will talk about this as we get down into the class here. So taproots, typical of dicot plants, have the ability to store food, but a lot of people think there's like this one big taproot for trees, and it's really not that common. Most of your roots are going to be in the top portion of the soil. Fibrous roots are found mostly on monocot plants. However, you will see this in annual plants that are dicots. They radiate out into the soil from the base of the plant. So fibrous roots grow in the upper 30 inches of the soil, absorb rain and water and surface supplied minerals from organic matter breakdown. And then taproots grow down deep to absorb moisture from water tables and aquifers. And here's some examples of taproots. Now remember I said potatoes are stems. Sweet potatoes are not in the same family. They don't have eyes, they are roots. So as I mentioned, most of your roots are going to be found in the top part of the soil, 6 to 24 inches of the soil. They occupy an area 2 to 4 times the diameter of the tree crown. So your neighbor could be doing something like applying pesticide or something that your tree might take up because the roots may actually be in your neighbor's yard. And here's a close-up here. We've got our drip line, so a lot of people think that's where it stops. So your anchor roots are going to be closer in. Transport roots are the ones that bring the nutrients into the plant. And then feeder roots, that's the small parts of the root system that are the primary water and nutrient absorbers. Many small roots function for only 1 or 2 years and either die or become part of the larger root system. So here's some different types of modified roots. We have our prop, you can see that on corn. We've got our storage, and then our pneumatophore, they're in mangroves and other swamp plants. Those are aerial roots that are able to have gas exchange above the water. Buttress roots are aerial extensions of lateral surface roots and form only in certain species. They stabilize the tree, especially in shallow, saturated water, and keep the plants from toppling. And they're most common in tropical trees of wet lowland environments. And again, here's our roots and shoots, and we're going to move on to the shoots in the next presentation.